when you're depressed, having someone express empathy to you feels amazing. I've been depressed, and whenever someone would show empathy to me, like it would feel great. I went many years feeling like no one understood me, and then like I was depressed for about like 4 or 5 years. The last 1 year or 2 years of my depression, I met some people that were also similar to me that showed me empathy, and that made me feel great. But I actually became more depressed when I had empathy, when I received empathy. And this is specifically for young men because most most men nowadays are weak. I am weak. But I'm trying to become stronger. I'm trying to become more masculine. I was raised to be very feminine. I don't blame my parents for it or anything. They were just doing what they thought was best for me, but this world conditions men to be feminine. So, okay, so how is empathy making us more depressed? When someone empathizes with you, they are basically validating your emotions. And when you're validated, you feel comfortable. Comfort causes complacency, and complacency stunts growth. What empathy to young men is doing is basically it's telling us that it's okay, like we're okay to be depressed. It's okay to be depressed. They're making it okay to be depressed, but it's not okay to be depressed. Like that's the truth. Being depressed is just like a shitty version of life. It's a shitty way to live. And as like dark and harsh as it is, we shouldn't be encouraging people to be depressed. We shouldn't validate people that are depressed, especially young men in general, because then they won't grow. When someone receives empathy, there's pretty much only one response to that empathy, which is they feel good about it, they feel validated, and now they don't really do much. After a while, they go back to feeling depressed, and it honestly gets worse because they felt all this empathy from maybe this other person, and it felt good and everything, and then they go back to their life and they realize nothing has really changed. They feel like they feel understood, and then they go back to their life and nothing has changed. When you when you make depressed people isolated, when you shun them, show them neglect, there's two different responses that could happen. Either they get even more depressed, or they turn over a new leaf and they say, I'm going to improve. And they cure their own depression. Because we live in a society where everything is kind of handed to us. Even in school, we don't most people don't even do the work. We find the answers online. We have Discord servers, iMessage group chats full of just like sending answers to each other, because who would do the work when you can get the answer somewhere else? We don't have to go hunt for our own food. We go to the grocery store. We don't have to go and make actual friends. We don't have to go and ask a girl out. We could do that online. Everything is too easy now. Everything is too comfortable now, and we don't have an incentive to grow. And that's also becoming more and more true with our emotions. As men, we don't have a reason to be stoic, because nowadays people encourage men to be more feelers. That was a bad way to explain. I'm trying to think what the word is. Emotional, that's the word. that's emotional. They're encouraging us to be more emotional. And what that does is it makes us not, we don't have a reason to work hard because everything is given to us, everything is handed to us on a silver platter. So I see all this, like, all these people that talk about like how to cure depression. They say, oh, empathy and like love yourself and everything. But like these people, the people that say this are either have never experienced depression before, or they are still depressed and have received empathy and felt good about it, and then everything went back to normal. A couple days passed and they realized their life still sucks. But since they felt good about themselves because they got empathy, they felt good about themselves for like a couple minutes, they feel like that is helping. But the thing is, like, small jolts of happiness isn't helping anything. It's actually making it worse, because if you're happy for a little bit and then you go back to depression, that depression feels even worse. Because really, you have to change the baseline of your happiness. You can't just be really happy sometimes and then really sad other times, right? It needs to be more in the middle. Your happiness and your sadness are like on polar opposites. If you're super happy sometimes, you're gonna be super sad sometimes. If you're like kind of happy, you'll be kind of sad sometimes. And then if you're kind of in the middle, you just don't really feel anything, which I don't really know if that's a good way to live. Now, obviously, I'm not saying to like not be super happy, because obviously, like, you're never gonna not be sad. You're never not gonna be happy. There's always gonna be times where you're gonna be really sad in life. You're gonna stoop down to very low places. But I don't know where I was going with that. But basically, empathy is not really helping men. It's just making us more depressed. It's basically giving us a reason not to work harder. Depression is a lack of discipline. That's all it is. It's a lack of fulfillment. It's a lack of purpose. It's a lack of direction in life. That's all it really is. That's the type of depression that most people have. Because most people are laying down, scrolling through TikTok and Instagram all day, and then like 5 hours goes by and they haven't done anything. They haven't started their homework. They haven't done anything. Every single like high schooler jokes about how much they procrastinate. A teacher assigns an essay, a project or something. Everyone does it on the last day, the night before. And I do too. Like, I had an essay for English, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not paying attention in that class, because I found that teacher really annoying, and I don't know, I just wasn't not paying attention. I didn't even realize we were writing an essay, because usually I do other things in that class. I do like homework from other things in that class, from other classes in that class, so that once I get home, I can actually be productive. I try to finish all my homework in school. But basically, I did the essay like the day it was due. It wasn't a really hard essay, so it's not really a big deal. But that was like the first time in a while that I really procrastinated. But last year was horrible. Every essay, project, even just assignment, if it's not due today, if it's not due tonight, I wasn't doing it. And that's what most people do. But when you do that, when you put off things to the very last minute, that shows how much you respect yourself. If you get an assignment now, like, and it's due in a week, but then you're just like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do it all today, or I'm gonna do it like in increments and like slowly get it done. That means that you're prioritizing your future self, right? You're delaying gratification. If if something is due in a week and you just do nothing, basically you waste time and you want pleasure now and you leave it up to the last night, the last moment, you're basically telling your future self that I don't care what you have to do. I'd rather have pleasure now. I don't care about my future self. Fuck my future self. And that's how people start to hate themselves, because they give themselves more work to do. They give themselves more stress because they didn't do it before. They leave it up to the last second. And I mean, I do this too, right? I'm not gonna act like I don't do it. But this is something that we all have to work on. Yeah, also, like, most people don't respect themselves because they prioritize instant gratification over delaying that gratification. When you scroll on TikTok for 3 hours instead of doing your math homework, after your TikTok scrolling session, you realize, oh shit, I just wasted so much time, so much time on this meaningless waste of time app like TikTok. If you're not creating on TikTok, right, and actually making money from TikTok, you're actually like, there's no value on TikTok if you're just scrolling. Instagram, YouTube, like those, maybe Twitter, I don't know really. Like those, you can argue that there's some value. On YouTube, you can watch educational stuff. On Instagram, you can, I guess, connect with people. TikTok, you're just watching short form, easy dopamine content, and you're not doing any good for yourself. But also on all these platforms, if you're not trying to create and make money, you're basically the product, right? Because you're doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, from these platforms, you're not gaining anything. If you're just watching, if you're just consuming, you're scrolling, they are taking your time, they're taking your attention. If you've heard that attention is the currency of the 21st century or something like that, like that's really how it works. Companies use your attention, take it, and turn it into money. But yeah, I've rambled on for a long time. My whole point was just that empathy is making us more depressed, and I ended up talking about a bunch of random stuff. But yeah.